I started my hustling journey early 1990s, selling second-hand shoes. Then I shifted to selling yarn, then switched to uniform work, which I'm currently doing now. My name is John Joroge, Director of Kitale Wool Shop. We have a shop in Line Moja, Kitale Town, and we recently have a factory along Kitale Eldoret Road. We process various types of clothing, that is textile. We do the pullovers, we do all sorts of uniforms. Sasa wakati tumeanza factory, tukaongeza watu wafanyikazi, we had to buy few machines. So the challenge started there because, you know, with the factory you have to source for the raw materials. At the same time you are paying the workers. Things became harder when COVID struck. I had to look for alternatives. I thought a lot. A friend of mine who told me ABSA are giving even loans without security. So I went and opened an account with ABSA in 2017. And yes, they are the ones that who have saved me up to now, because, you know, paying workers at the same time you're paying electricity, it's not easy. So these days I don't have that hassle of thinking a lot, the end month is here. I don't have money because they have already sorted me with a good amount in the overdraft. I know ABSA will continue journeying with me because we are planning to add more machines so that we create more employment, and I've already talked to them, and I know they will help me realize my dream fully. Working with ABSA will make me see through all my plans.
My name is Josephine Gichan. I'm a business woman. Nafanya business yangu Kisii. Duka yangu inaitwa Jacho Farm Machinery. Hii duka nilianza kitambo tukiwa na mzee wangu. Kafanya vizuri, kaendelea vizuri, lakini wakati mzee akafika akawa mgonjwa for the whole year. Sasa ikawa business imerudi chini kabisa. Sasa from there kapatana na watu wa bank from ABSA Bank, wakakuja wakanichukua, wakanipatia loan unsecured 500,000. Na hiyo loan imenisaidia sana kwa marafiki zangu, majirani na wale ambao wachajiunga na ABSA Bank, na waomba mjiunge na ABSA Bank kwa sababu saizi naona nimeendelea. ABSA Bank ninawashukuru sana, mlinisaidia na muendelee kufanya hivyo hivyo kwa wengine.
As a young man, I'd always wanted to be independent, not to be an employee. That is some dream I've always had of my life. I studied dentistry. When I finished, I started internship. During my internship, I used to visit some dental clinic and see how things operate, which motivated me that I could veer off in dentistry and go practice by myself. So during my internship, I saved up and took some loan and started the clinic. At that time, I was partly working elsewhere and partly running the clinic. At that time, I was still a bit confused whether I wanted to really take dentistry as the core business that I wanted in life. Having been a dental clinic that was just starting out as a young man in Kisumu, we kept having the demand growing on us. And at that point, we needed a facility alone to be able to help us expand and absorb the increased capacity. So that time is when I approached ABSA to be able to help us elevate and expand our capacity to serve the numbers that were growing. Thereafter, we started seeing the need of opening the branches, where again, I went to ABSA and they gave us the loan to be able to, we refinanced actually, to be able to open a branch and keep elevating our clinic. ABSA has been one of the best in terms of relationship for the business aspect of it. The turnaround time of response from the banking staff whenever we need any support on our business has been really commendable. And irrespective of which part of the country we've gone to, whether we're in Homa Bay, whether we're in Migori, the willingness of the staff to respond to us is very good. I look back and I'm happy with my partnership with ABSA. It's been a worthy journey.
My names are Alex Wafulawa Mwana. I'm born in Bungoma County and I run a business. I'm involved in a supermarket business I also have a wholesale. I also have a soda distribution business. I had challenges in managing the business because I am a teacher. I had vowed that if my wife is working class, I will resign to run the business. If she's not working, then I will convince her to manage the business as I continue with my teaching job. I'm looking forward to own a heavy truck to transport my goods easily from suppliers. I've had challenges like any ordinary entrepreneur. When I got interested in trucks, I was banking with another bank that financed me the first truck. Along the way, that truck was stolen, so I had to rush back to the financer. I was told this time I don't qualify. But when I approached APSA, they came in very handy and financed me the second truck, which was even having a higher capacity than the first truck. APSA has really supported me. Currently, I'm having 4 trucks. All the 4 trucks are still on loan, and I'm comfortably paying for them. It looks like a miracle to somebody if I say APSA has financed me 4 lorries, which I'm still paying, and also around 4 loans. I've been telling my fellow businessmen, young and those who are established, that APSA has served me well. I'm looking forward into a bright future because of APSA.
Hello and good morning, everyone, our customers, our stakeholders, and our customers to be. We are so excited to have you join this session today. This is an incredible opportunity to learn and grow together. My name is Helen Makandi, and I serve at APSA Bank as the Business Club Manager. Ladies and gentlemen, the objective of today's session is to learn how to streamline your business processes for success. This is a critical topic for us as SMEs, and we are hoping today you'll be able to learn 1 or 2 things that will help your businesses to take off due to the process management that you will input. I will actually not dwell too much on the topic since we have a subject matter expert with us who will be sharing more light on the same shortly. At this juncture, kindly allow me a few minutes to highlight our APSA Business Club benefits to you and why you should be a member of the APSA Business Club. So the APSA Business Club is an account or a members club where we support our customers and our members with both financial and non-financial solutions to help you grow your business, to increase your business knowledge, and also to access markets and also networking opportunities. Those of us who are members, I know you can attest to this, what the club has already done for you. On the non-financial benefits, I'll not dwell too much on them because these are what your day-to-day transactions, when you go to the bank, what do you get within the account. Talk about free checkbooks, about over-the-counter withdrawal, which is free. If you want to do an internal transfer, it is free. If you deal with foreign currencies, We give you a free foreign currency account, maybe a dollar account, a euro account, a pounds account. We do not charge any maintenance fees on that account. You also get free debit card withdrawal. Those of you who would want to have an ATM card or a debit card, anytime you withdraw, it is free. A monthly statement, and also you have a dedicated relationship manager who supports you in your journey as an APSA customer. On the non-financial bits, we give you access to markets, and this is where we organize every year both local, regional, and international business trips. And the calendar for 2025 is already up, and we are planning trips in different markets where we want you to go and see what else. How can you diversify your business? What can you bring new ideas to here back in the country and implement them? So we are planning a trip to Estonia and Finland in the month of February. In March, we are planning a trip to the US where we will tour the cities of Atlanta and Orlando. And in May, we are planning a trip to Vietnam, Malaysia, and Singapore. Those are within the first quarter. So we'll also having the second half of the year where we'll be planning other trips, and that calendar will be shared with the club members. Another benefit that you get as a member of the club is such kind of these virtual webinars. We call them monthly leadership, where we bring experts in different areas to just engage you and also support you in areas that we see gaps, and we bring solutions to you. We also do these physical networking workshops where we bring you in a room, you network with your peers. We also bring thought leaders on a topical issue, and we discuss, connect, and also network. In the couple of the last 2 months, we've been touring the whole country, where we have been connecting with our customers from the coast region to the western to the rift, just to connect with you, to get your feedback, and also to see other ways on how we can support you. That's what we do within the business club. You also get, we run a quarterly Wezesha magazine, where now we give you insights, market insights, financial insights on how well you can run your business. So we are about to release the fourth quarter magazine this coming month of December. So look out for that. You also will be able to be served in our exclusive business club suite, which are spread out in the country. You also get priority banking within our networks. We work with a lot of partners, such as the Chamber of Commerce, Wild International, who are here, we are hosting together. And when you want to be a member of these organizations or associations, we always have discounted membership fees for our customers. We also organize APSA Connect exclusive lifestyle events such as golf. I know in February next year we normally host annually the Kenya Magical Open. All business club customers are exclusively invited to such event where you interact with your peers. So really, as you can see, we are doing everything to support you, not only on the financial space, but also the non-financial, which is very, very critical. That is all we have under the business club, and I know we have an email address where you can contact us in case of any query, in case of any questions that you might be having. Please email us on that email address that you'll see on this slide. Contact us, interact with us on businessclub.ke@apsa.africa. We'll be there to serve you and to engage with you. I know I've just jumped into business, and I would want to hear from you also, because this is a very interactive session, and I would want to get 2 winners for the 2 questions that I will ask. The first one to type in the correct answer. My technical team here is on the standby. Please give me the first 2 winners. I love a gift for them. I hope we are all attentive for my question. So how it works. The company was started in a garage. This is my question. I'm giving you a hint. The company was started in a garage and revolutionized technology. This company has a messaging app which was started by two former Yahoo employees who wanted a way to stay connected for free. Second hint, it became popular due to its simplicity and use of internet data instead of traditional SMS for communication. My last hint, it is now one of the most widely used messaging app globally with billions of users. Go. I'm told I already have a winner here. Peter Muhuhu, well done. The company is WhatsApp. I'll give you a second chance if you've not won. Another hint, another question. These Kenyan-based mobile money services revolutionized banking by allowing users receive money. My goodness, do I need to finish my question? Please give me an answer already. Who is my winner? Linda K. You've won before I even finish my question. Last question that I have for you, because before we get now into serious business, I wanted to make sure that all of us have joined the meeting so that we don't miss out. And this is the point where you pull in your partner, your business partner, your colleague, your employee who would want to be part of this. Please allow them to log in, give them the link. This is the part where we want people now to join in. My last question, let all be attentive. This company is often called the Amazon of Africa due to its e-commerce platform serving several African countries. I have a very sharp audience here. Give me the winner, please. Angela Ngebe. Thank you so much. That is Jumuia. And the second answer was M-Pesa. Very well done, my customers. Now, we will contact you, Peter, Linda, and Angela, with your prizes, and we'll be able to share with you. Sharon, please take their contact so that we are able to communicate them later after this. All right, I'll get to the next session where now gives me much pleasure to welcome our head of SME at Absa Bank, Mr. Erastus Mudura, to give his opening remarks. Please welcome Erastus Mudura as he comes and gives his welcome remarks. Karibu sana, Erastus.
Thank you so much, Helen, and thank you, our customers, for the beautiful engagement that you have had. I think we have a very, very, very sharp audience here that is getting to know the answers even before the question is done. And that is quite impressive. So mine is to welcome you so much to this webinar today. And in Absa, as Helen has said, our work is to not just give you financial services, but also to ensure that we are giving you non-financial services that help your business to become more efficient, much better, to grow, and also become sustainable. In Absa, it's about telling stories. And the stories we talk about are the stories that are sustainable to the end. And one of the reasons we do this is because we would want your business to shine the same way and become better 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, just like it has happened for Absa. Absa has been in existence for about 100 years. And that is the same story we want to hear about our SME customers. And so today, as we continue learning about how we can have excellent processes that help us to streamline our business for success, then this tells us that for your business to be successful, you need processes that can help you be in existence tomorrow and the day after. And they encourage you to listen in, pull in a different client, one of your employees, as Helen has said, one of your business partners, so that you don't just learn alone, but we welcome you to enjoy this so that you can be able to understand how can your business become more efficient by using streamlined business operations. How can you save costs here and there? How can you manage your business in your absence by having a process? How can you be able to scale up your business? Without a process, it will be limited to you. But when you have this process, your business will grow, ABSA will grow, our economy will grow, and your vision will become better. And together, we will create a story that matters, because in ABSA, we say, your story matters, and we are creating beautiful stories for our customers. So I welcome you today to enjoy, engage, ask questions, and even after this, through the email that has been sent, the email address given out by Helen, you can be able to contact us and find out much more benefits about the trips we are planning, about the events that we have, and also about the opportunities that the bank presents to you and the tools to enable your business to be streamlined. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the webinar. So back to you, Helen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Erastus, for even making this possible. We appreciate you. So at this point, I would like to welcome our partner from Wild International, who we work together to run these webinars. I know Monica Kashusha is here with us. Just give us a few remarks of what Wild is doing to support SMEs. Thank you very much. And karibu sana, Monica.
Thank you so much, Helen, and a very warm welcome, everybody. My name is Monica Gashusha, Project Manager at Wild. So at Wild International, we support entrepreneurs, and we work with owner-managed business because we believe that the foundation that an owner-managed business creates can make the business thrive, and the decisions that also entrepreneurs make can either make them successful or fail. So we work very closely with owner-managed business just to be able to build those foundations to support them to be able to thrive in their businesses in terms of strategy development, and also supporting them to implement their own strategies. We also offer business advisory. We are very big in business coaching just to be able to handhold you in spaces that you feel you need support. We also work very closely with the sandbox. We call it the village expert. This is where we have expert for different business disciplines. For example, if we work with an entrepreneur and they need some legal guidance, we have a legal expert. If you're struggling with your accounting, we have an accounting expert. And today we have our very own who supports us in processes. And as entrepreneurs, I would like to pose this question: that are your processes going to make you enjoy your holiday? We are going to a festive season. Do you have processes? Do you have procedures, that can make you enjoy your holiday without necessarily being present at work? So these are some of the things that we are very happy to empower the entrepreneurs. We are very happy to empower business owners, because we know every decision that you make has a direct impact on your business. So at Wild International, we pride ourselves in just supporting entrepreneurs to see you move from one level to another. And I always tell entrepreneurs, the best gift that you can give yourself is to invest in your personal development. And just being present in this webinar, I can see about 140 of us. I want to tell you congratulations for investing your time to be here, to listen and to learn, and also to be part of ABSA, because every entrepreneur is also looking for funding. So be partners with people who can understand you, who can support you, and also uplift you financially when you're looking for that support. Even as we do other strategy support, you also need finances. And I tell you, ABSA is a good partner to work with. With that said, asante sana, and welcome everybody. Back to you, Helen. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, for those remarks. And our customers, our stakeholders, this is the point where now we welcome our speaker, Ms. Rosalind Mutai. Allow me to read briefly on his bio and who she is, even as now you get your notebook ready, your pen ready to get into serious matters. So Rosalind is a trainer and coach in process management. She is a process excellent practitioner and process coach working with individuals and teams to simplify work process, to increase productivity and reduce costs. She is the process and quality expert at Sandbox and runs Top Tier, a firm that helps organizations create clear and simple processes that amplify productivity and profitability. Rosalind is a quality management system lead auditor and a member of the National Technical Committees for Quality Management and Quality Assurance. She's a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, that is ISPAC. She has over 15 years experience in customer service and process excellence, working in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and India. Her work and life experiences has given her a truly global outlook on people, culture, and work. She's a member of the Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT, and she has previously sat on the boards of OWIT Nairobi and OWIT International. Rosalind is committed to empowering people with knowledge and skills that allow them to become self-sustaining and volunteers in community initiatives aimed at improving quality of life. So please welcome Rosalind. We can appreciate her as she comes with some claps, with some flowers. Karibu sana, Rosalind, and take it away. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Helen. And thank you, Absa and Wild, for this opportunity. Wild is a valuable partner, and so it's very exciting to be part of this webinar today. And thank you, Absa, for the platform. I see the hand claps and the excitement still going, so I'm very excited as well. Thank you for the warm welcome. Okay, so we're going to jump right into the topic. I really like what Erastus said about your story matters. I mean, it is that Absa is about telling stories, and you want to build a business that's sustainable to the end. So it's just a few weeks to the end of the year. And so I'm curious if you could just type quickly in the chat, what is the one thing you're most looking forward to in the next 6 weeks? Catherine, making money as I sleep, more sales, proper strategy in place for 2025 to end the year with a bang, closing pending sales. Okay, any other things? Oh, looking forward to a break after the long year. Okay, ending the year with a bang. I like that one. It's come up again. Okay, Naomi's better structure for my business, entering 2 new markets. Well done, Awar. Okay. Good vibes and good vibes and inshallah. Okay. Joe ending the year with a bang and in style, new orders. Okay, so there's quite a number of things that people are looking forward to. Keep typing them. The reason I ask this question is because the truth is we have to prepare for 2025. We need to close the year with a bang. That's very important, but we must prepare for 2025 because it's here. And so I'd like you to use this topic today as just that, something that helps you to prepare well, to finish well this year, and then prepare well to enter into 2025. Okay, so in this session today, there are many things that we could do around streamlining business and making sure that our businesses are working the way that we want. I'm just going to look at 2 things. Since my bio was shared earlier, very ably by Helen, I'll just go into the objective of today's session. So I hope that by the end of the day, this session today, you will understand why it's important to manage your processes. And managing them is about making sure that they are streamlined, making sure that there is no waste in there, that you're not doing things that customers are not willing to pay for. You're not spending time and resources on things that are not adding value. And more importantly, that you're spending your time doing things that add value for customers and add value for your customers. Absa right now is spending time on these webinars, and I'm grateful that so many of you have joined because this is valuable for you. these sessions are valuable. They help you to strengthen your business, and they help you to develop who you are. I know there've been a number of webinars already. I think the last one was on investor readiness. There've been others on strategy. There's so many things that ABSA as a bank have invested in making sure that that there's value they are adding for you as members, as their customers, and as members of their business club. And then for those who are not yet members, thank you for joining as well, because then this is valuable for you, I hope. So the first thing is, why is it important to manage process? Just making sure that it's clear to you that why processes need to be managed. And then the second element is then, how do you start? A lot of things around, I often talk about myself as an operations practitioner. And the reason is this: process is really about getting things done. And so even as we move on to the next slide, it's just thinking, the thinking around this is really just how you get things done. You take something, you take an input, or you take something that you have been given and turn it into something else. And so, for example, you as a business owner, you may buy stock and then move that, transport it, and sell it to your customers. And then you transform that into something that somebody else is willing to buy, and then they pay you for it. So process is really about getting things done. It's really about moving, taking an input, converting it into an output that somebody else is willing to pay for because they see value in it. So that's the first element. I just think it's very important that we understand that we could call process many things, but the thing about process is really just about getting things done. Now, managing your processes is then saying, how do I make sure that the things I'm doing daily, the things I'm doing weekly, the things that we are doing monthly, the things that we are doing once a year actually add value? How do I make sure that they are the best things, that they're the best use of my time, they're the best use of my employees' time, and more importantly, they're the best use of my money as a business? As the business owner, you are the one who makes decisions about how money should be spent. So how do you make sure that what you're spending time on is actually the best value for the money that you're spending? Whether it's in hiring people, whether it's in choosing partners, whether it's in investing in infrastructure or investing in assets, how do you make sure it's the best use for your money? So managing processes is really about making sure that you have the best way of doing something, and the best way is really around how am I controlling the outputs that I'm getting? How am I making sure that we are spending, we're getting quality, but we're also getting the best in terms of the best in time of how much money we are spending. So that's managing process is really about control and making sure that you are getting the best value out of the things that you're doing in your business. And then the last element, which is then streamlined processes, is just making sure that everything is working optimally. Optimally here is really about efficiency and effectiveness. So effectiveness on one hand is making sure that we actually get the right job done. Okay, and then if efficiently is then with the least, or should I say the most optimal level of resources. Okay, so just moving us along, now that we've gotten all the questions, before we move to this slide, I think we have a poll. We just want to ask a question around, why has your company or other companies streamlined their processes? So if you could just set that up for us, set the poll up for us, and I'll ask all our customers to participate in this poll. Why would any company be interested in streamlining their processes? If you could put in some answers there, it would be good to see what you think. Okay, good. I see something in the chat around profit maximization. Are there any others? To cut down on costs and maximize profit. Okay, so a lot of elements of money there. Good. Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to tie this to outcomes. Okay. Are there any other responses? To improve performance, thanks Award. Better customer service leading to customer satisfaction. That's an important one, right? You want to be able to manage the customer experience, right? And the most important thing about customers is you want customers to return, right? Because that feeds into whether you are able to sustain your growth or not. Okay, good. Business continuity. So that's an important one. To minimize errors, I like that one. Uniformity. Uniformity is a good one. Thanks, Evans. Streamline operations and improve efficiency. Good. So you want to be able to get efficiency comes up a lot. So money is coming up a lot. Better workflow. I like that one. And improve effectiveness. Good. Let's keep them going. Okay, we have some good responses. I think we can stop the poll. What there is, and you already have the answers. I like the fact that you already have the answers. You already know a lot about why this topic is important for you, and that's probably also why you joined. And so the truth is that each one of us are in business, and we want to put our money to its best use. We want to put our time to its best use. And so there's when we're streamlining, we're thinking about several things. We're thinking about how do I make sure that I'm sustainable? How do I make sure that I can be efficient? How do I make sure that there's continuity in my business? How do I make sure that we comply? How do we make sure that we strengthen employee morale? There are so many things that, and they're all typed out in the chat. I really like that. I really like the fact that we're engaging in this way. So streamlining is important for these reasons, which I've just put a few of them. I think you've captured most of them in the chat and in the response. But in the next slide, we just captured a few of them. Just put them in big blocks, so to speak. And a lot of times companies are streamlining because they are entering into a period of rapid growth, or they're entering in a period where growth has kind of stagnated, and you have to make sure that you are adjusting and putting resources to the best use. So it could growth. I mean, you could have either slowed down or you're taking off, and you just really need to be able to have the best processes, the most efficient processes and the most effective ones. Somebody mentioned it already around being able to minimize errors. Minimize errors does something for you here. It minimizes customer complaints, right? So if you make fewer and fewer errors with customer orders, for example, or the expectation or customer service, then you minimize customer complaints. So companies that streamline processes are often interested in minimizing errors so that they can minimize customer complaints and thereby increase customer satisfaction. So a lot of this is connected to customers and how you serve them, because a big part of our business and how sustainable we are is really around how well are we able to keep our customers. Okay, so somebody had mentioned compliance and in there. So legislation is also an important factor that to be able to use Streamlined, because you want to be able to comply and make sure that you comply with the law of the land, right? And the thing about the law, and the lawyers will tell you, the lawyers who are here will tell you that ignorance is not a defense in the law. So as the laws are changing, as things are changing within our environment, our business environment, you need to be able to comply. So legislation is a key element. Another big factor here is whenever you have a key person, and that key person is integral to the running of the business, that you minimize the risk that is associated with them being a part of your business. What does that mean? That if today I'm the owner of my business and everything around about the business revolves around me, that can be a little bit dangerous for your business. So part of streamlining your process is making sure that you're bringing in people in the business, employees that you trust. Not just employees, could be co-directors or co-owners that you trust and are able to help you minimize the risk of you being the only person that understands how your business is run. Because then should anything happen to you, you also endanger the life of your business. And so it's just being maybe a little bit not pessimistic, but a bit pragmatic and a bit honest about the frailty of our own humanness, and just appreciating that I grow my business and I'm able to expand my business if my business does not wholly depend on me. Okay, for people who are starting off, which maybe some people here or maybe not, it's just an important that you streamline your processes so that you can start right. And I think the other element is, while you could be in a period of rapid growth, you could also be in a period where you expect that 2025 is going to be a really good and vibrant year, because I saw one person is entering into 2 new markets. How do you prepare for that growth? How do you make sure that the business that you're running today in Kisumu, or the business that you're running today in Kisii, is when you enter into a different market, it'll still be the same business while adjusting for that environment, but it still achieves and provides the satisfaction that your current setup is providing for your customers. So there's several things around why you create processes and why you need to streamline them. And you have typed them all over there. So thank you for participating in that as well. I think it's just this one slide just captures some of the elements that I was thinking about as we prepared for this. So if there are I see no other questions or comments, so I'll move us along to the next thing of how do you actually do it then? What are the steps that you follow? You could do several things. I've tried to summarize them into these 5 steps. I think the most critical element is to identify what your processes are. And identifying your process is connected to something that Wild International does very well for businesses and business owners, is to help you to align the things that you do in your business to your business strategy. So, so there's feedback. Slide is not legible. Thanks, Evan. So I'm going to try and talk through it. But the first step there is identify your business processes. And thank you for making that a little more legible. Good. So the first thing is identify your business processes, and identifying them is understanding what do we need to do within our business? What are the key things that we need to do to be able to align to the strategy that we have for our business? So if you're in a period of rapid growth and you need to perhaps acquire new assets, then business processes must be aligned to that. If you are hiring new people, or if you need to let go of people, because that's a reality, that you may need to let go of people to become more efficient and more efficient, and in some instances more effective as well, then what are the people processes around that? How do I make sure that when I'm hiring, for example, then I follow the process that allows me to attract the right kind of talent? And when I'm letting go of talent as well, how do I make sure that I do it within the confines of the law, so that I don't expose my business? I don't expose my business to undue legislation. So that's the thinking around this, that you identify the processes that are relevant for where you're going. Okay. If you think about, a lot of us talked about costs and being able to minimize costs. It's starting to look at what are the big cost drivers in my business. In many organizations, that is people, right? You may not be able to, so when I talk about reducing key cost drivers, I'm not saying get rid of people. What I'm saying is then, how do I give my people the skills or the process to follow to minimize errors, so that as much as possible, I'm getting the best value out of all my people? I could have people on my team that have skills that I know nothing about. How do I make sure that I'm able to tap into those skills and get the most value out of the people that are already working within my organization? And really, that's the thinking. So it's really around identifying, so do I need, for example, in an instance like that, to have a performance management system or a performance management process that allows me to think through, okay, last year, at the beginning of the year, Monica said she had this ambition to go back to school, and then she did that, and she acquired new skills. How can we as a business support her, number one, perhaps in acquiring the skills, if that's possible? And then the second element then is, okay, how then do we, when she comes back with this certification or with this training, how do we take those skills and that understanding and that knowledge and apply it and use it for the value of our business? Of course, you have to bear in mind that many of those things will come with costs, but it's really about thinking, what do I need to have in place to have a sustainable business, a business that's sustainable to the end? So there's a story to tell about my business. So number one, identify your business processes by aligning to the strategy that you have for 2025 or 2026 or in the years to come. So do things within your business that are aligned to your strategy. So I'll give an example. So one of the things that I realized this year, I've known it for many years, but it dawned on me this year, is that we spend a lot of our population is actually very young, and they don't think any way like I do. And so that used to frustrate me a lot. But I also see the value in having a certain demographic in my business, because they're able to reach a client in a way that I cannot. And so just being able to appreciate the different different people and the different strengths of the talents that you have is really important. So one of the things I'm doing in my business next year, so I'm a trainer and a coach. And so part of my strategy in 2025 is to have in place a process that supports bringing in a younger demographic into my business that helps me to reach their demographic. Okay, so I'm already thinking about the recruitment for that. How do we mentor and coach? How will I mentor and coach that employee and make sure that they are relevant for my business and they work for me? So that's really the thinking around this. When you think about this, just think about what's the future of my business? How do I want it to adjust? And therefore, what are the processes that support that? Step number one, identify your business process. Then step number two is map or document those processes. Just be clear how they run. Mapping or documenting is just understanding how things work from the first step up to the last step. What happens in between. I think somebody earlier had talked about having a standard process, and that's really just around appreciating that there's a standard way in which different elements of your business run. So being able to identify that. When you do this, be careful about where work is handed over from one department to another. For example, this webinar is being conducted by several of us. So one of the most important things is to align how things connect to one another, determine how the flow goes. I think one person had mentioned something around workflow. How do you make sure that there's actually a flow? So very important that you're able to connect the dots and understand how the process works by mapping it. And then the next element is identifying critical data points. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the next couple of slides, but I think it's very important that we make decisions driven by data, that we make data-driven decisions, that while we may have a hunch about something and be sure it's going to work in a market, let the data guide you and trust the data. And then digitize data collection where that is possible, and then automate. Why I bring in these two elements of digitization and automation is because that's the direction the world is moving. And a lot of our processes, while they are run, there's parts of our processes that are run by physically, there's also a big part of our processes that are actually done using platforms. So using payment platforms that interface into our websites, payment platforms that interface with other platforms. There's so many connections around data and how data is digitized, and therefore very important that you're able to also automate how all of that is done. Okay, so I'll just move us to the next slide, which is really goes a little bit deeper around these 5 elements, and I may have already talked about them, but then let's just pick up on this. So when you think about process, one of the things we talked about was being able to identify your business processes. So there's several things that could be within your business processes. There could be strategic processes, which is around your strategy and your strategy implementation and your strategy development. So that's strategic processes. These are usually organization-wide actions that are intended to drive the direction of the business. Then there are internal processes. These are processes that are related to people within the organization. So it could be shareholders, or other directors. It could be employees. So just being aware of the people that are internal to your business, and you have processes around that. So for example, towards your employees, you will have human resource processes. Towards your directors, there may be a requirement that you report. If you're the only director, or if there's just one other director, it's good to get into the habit of understanding, even if it's just the two of you, understanding how does this having a reporting back mechanism that helps you to support how the business is run. Remember, what we're trying to do is sustainable businesses that are sustainable to the end, sustainable into the future, so that you have a story to tell. Then strengthening internal processes is critical to being able to do that. And then there are external processes, and these are usually the ones we focus a lot on. They're the ones that touch on the customer. They're the ones that touch on the supplier. They touch on external parties. So it's how you deal with your customers, it's how you deal with your suppliers, how you deal with your bank, who is your relationship manager at Absa Bank, just thinking about that, and how you manage that relationship as a business owner, so that the day you come for, like the lady in Kisii who required unsecured loan and got it, that you have built track record that enables you to do that. And then so that's external processes, just managing the relationships external to the business. And then feedback loops is really around a little bit of what happened a few minutes ago, where someone says the slide is not legible. Feedback is really just being told that element is not working very well. And that feedback you will get from your directors, you will get feedback from your employees, you'll get feedback from your customers. Having processes to manage feedback when it comes is really critical. And then the last element there, which is really what we're talking about, is then taking all of these things, taking the feedback you've received and using it to improve your internal, your external, and strategic processes. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide, which is really around mapping and documenting. I'm going to go quickly through this slide because mapping and documenting processes is really about understanding how something is done. So often the first thing is you must have a clear name for the process and know this is what this process does. And then you must also define why it exists. And sometimes this is difficult. Even for, I sat with a client and they were saying, oh, we have a sales process. So I'm like, what's the purpose of your sales process? They look at me like, to sell. But I'm like, yeah, you have to be able to articulate it well. And sometimes when you talk about selling, then you will start, if you start to define why the process exists, then you'll also start telling yourself about, you'll go a little deeper into, we are selling, but we're selling to this particular this particular type of customer. So you defining why helps you to go a little deeper into why you have that process in the first place. And then just a little trick for process documentation is identify the first and the last steps and then fill in the steps in between. It just makes it really easy. You need to know where our process starts and where it ends, because many of the things that we do in our businesses overlap. So you have to be careful about understanding what overlaps and what doesn't, so that you do not create overlaps. Overlaps are a process. They waste time and they waste money, right? And why do they do that? Because you probably have two people or two departments doing something that's doing the same thing. You don't want to do that. Okay, so very important that you're able to minimize overlaps. Or rather minimize duplication. So where there will always be overlaps, but make sure that you only have, part of streamlining is also making sure that the job is being done by the right person or the right department. And then the other element of this is then just to make sure that you capture any missing steps, and then validate the steps is just confirm that those are actually the steps those are actually the steps. So I'll just move us on to the next thing. Documenting processes is easy, and you will get the slides, so you can have a look at that one. And then data. Now, I talked a little earlier about making decisions with data. Very important that you use data to make decisions. A big part of process streamlining is being able to say, if I've streamlined a process, I need to be able to say, this is how it worked before I streamlined it, or these are the results I got before I streamlined it, and this is how it's working now. And you have to be able to demonstrate a positive positive movement or a positive shift. Okay, so without data, you're not able to say that. So if you, for example, take steps to improve your sales process or your collection process, because I saw a number of people are interested in doing that, then you have to show this is what it was before, this is what we changed, or perhaps we changed who we're targeting. So we changed something, and then this is the results after we change it. So the data supports the actions that you're making. Without data, you have nothing. Well, you have many things, but without data, you are able to make the right decisions. You're able to push, you're able to know that we are progressing in the direction that we want. I'll give an example. If you're today working a process that is largely dependent on people, and your customer base doubles, right? If you don't have a very efficient process, chances are that you will, as your client base grows, you will make, or doubles, you will need to double the people that are doing the work. Okay, now what data will show you that that's exactly what you have done. Streamlining then shows you how are there some things that we can combine within certain roles that then enable us to make, not to double, but maybe to just increase by a certain percentage. Very important that you're able to do that. Having the right data, having the right visibility helps you to see and make the decisions that you need to around the processes that you have. So that's the element of data. And then I'm going to skip to the next 2 slides, which is really around digitizing. And maybe before I just since we've come over here, just let me mention it briefly, really around digitizing and then automating. So use technology to make it easier for you to run your business. Since you've already had a webinar on technology, and innovation, I'm not going to talk about that, but once you have data, automate the collection of that data, and then digitize the collection of that data, and then automate as much as possible work that can be automated. Okay, so very important. Why are we talking about process documentation? The reason we talk about documentation is because it helps you to see. So documents could be in any form. They could be flowcharts. There are people who like Word documents. There are people who like charts. Whatever the case, just have something that is visual and in your staff and your people can see it. It also helps the thought process for you as well. If you put something down. So whenever I'm working, like even now on this webinar, I'm taking down notes because it's anything that comes into my mind that I put down, I will most likely remember. So I remember earlier Helen had said, pull out your notebook. So I hope you've been writing and just making sure that, because then when you see things, when you document things and when you have them written down, then you'll be able to internalize them better. So some of the benefits for your business when it comes to documentation is really, number one, creating a consistent understanding of how to serve customers. So these are your external customers, consistent understanding of how to serve them, which means that you can repeat or standardize the process that you follow if what the customer is buying is the same for customer A, B, C, or D, or customer in Kisumu, or customer in Kisii, or customer in Nairobi. You have a way, so even the people who work for you understand this is how we serve this customer. So within the bank, for example, they have several categories of customers. Then they understand with documentation, it supports their understanding of how to serve the business club owners, for example, business club members, for example. And so just the consistent understanding of how to serve customers. The second element there is about lowering customer effort. So a big part of streamlining processes is being able to say, how do I remove the effort from my customer in getting in touch with me, for example? So for example, reducing in instances where it's possible, reducing customer contact if that is what is needed. Hence the introduction of ATMs, for example, or online banking or mobile banking. All of those things are supposed to make it easier for customers to interact with you. So lowering customer effort. So for your business, think about how can I make it easier for my customers, number one, to reach me, or to be served by me, or to raise a complaint, or to raise a compliment, making it easier, lowering customer effort. We've talked about efficiency, we've talked about effectiveness of your staff, and ultimately to increase profitability. So if we're able to document and see how things actually flow within the organization, then we're actually able to see where we can make adjustments or where we can make improvements. Hence the benefits of, and that's the reason I harp on it, is because a little bit of the benefits of documenting tie very closely to the benefits of streamlining work processes. Because when you're able to, when you document it, you're able to see it, and when you're able to see it, you're able to take out all the things that are not necessary. So I'll move on to the next slide, which is really around what type of documents you have. And the point I'm making with this slide is we don't have to read through all the documents. It's just to understand that already you have such a you already have a lot of your business documented. You probably already have some policies, you have some checklists, you have invoices, you have receipts. So much of your business is already running on documentation and records. So it's really just to demonstrate that you're not starting from zero as a business owner. There's already so much that you have in place. So we'll move on to the next element, which is really a question for you. So the question is this, and it's going to come up as a poll. There are actually two questions. What's the easiest thing you've ever done, and why was it easy? As a poll comes up, the reason we're answering this question is because we are moving on to really, how do you then start? It's good to know the theory of documentation and the value of processes, but then how do you start to take that, that knowledge and practically apply it in your business? Okay, as I set up that for us, there you go. Fantastic. Let's get some answers.
We can type in the answers in the chats
as well. Yeah.
Answers are coming up, Rosalind.
Okay, good. Setting up a selling price. Okay, good. So the easiest thing Janet has ever done is setting up a selling price, as she knew the buying costs and all the other costs involved. Okay, very well done. Ordering an Uber. Okay, good, because they built the platform for it and made it easy. Planning and organizing. So Samira says planning, organizing, and of course, documentation of processes as much as possible. The easiest thing I've ever done was setting up a customer feedback process. Thank you, Phyllis. Any other? Why was it easy? Maybe we can hear some answers around that as well. Janet set it up well and said, I already knew all the costs. Okay. Any other things? Okay, good. Feel free to keep typing. The reason I wanted us to answer this question is really connected to what comes up next, which is really around when you start to implement processes, you need to think about, and when you start to streamline processes, there's three things I'd like us to be aware of. The first is, and it's coming up on the slide just after this. Good. Oh, just before I say that, before I continue, I like this one. Sophia says, getting a tax compliance certificate was the easiest thing I've ever done because my records with KRA are very well organized. Very well done, Sophia. So you're the people who get automatically your TCC is produced. Very well done. That means you're keeping good financial records. Okay, good. Okay, so the reason we're talking about this is because a lot of implementation, especially around process streamlining, is very much connected to these three things. The first one is skills, right? When I'm implementing when I'm streamlining a process and when I'm thinking about how do we get things to work better within my organization, we need to, number one, we have to have the skills to do that. So we'd have to have the skills either to document or after the process has been documented and made easier by taking out waste, who has the skills to run that process and the ability to track its performance. So I think the first element is there really around skills. And then the next element there is around behavior. So a big part of, you may have the skills to do something, but you also need to adjust the behaviors within the organization to make it possible for a streamlined process to stick. So the behaviors really here are around consistency and being faster at making changes than perhaps your competition, right? Or other players in the market. And then the third element is really about mindset. So the things that are easy for us to do are because we have made up our minds that it just needs to get done. So as a business owner, then your responsibility then becomes, how do I remove mind barriers? How do I remove the blockages in people's minds, like, oh, this is too difficult to do, or this is easy to, even in my own mind, how do I remove the barriers around mindset? That the attitude you want to be able to have is a can-do attitude. We need to comply. We have no choice but to change. Changes can result in improvements. So really, these three elements are what make it possible to succeed with any streamlining or process improvement initiative. Skills, behavior, and mindset. With mindset really being the big element. If you think you can do it, you can. If you think you can't, that is also true. And so a lot of times it's very important that, and for you to understand that this thing can be done, and I can actually take out waste from my processes. And so the right mindset really helps to be able to do that. So I just thought it was important that we understand that mindset, behaviors, skills. And so we'll move on to the next slide, which is around implementation. So what have we done until this point? Until this point, we've identified our processes, we have documented them. And as we have documented them, we have taken out the things that don't need to be done. We've thought critically about why are we doing this? Is this necessary to do? Is it important for us to do? And then once we have that understanding, then we're saying, okay, look, now I have this new process. How do I make sure that it sticks? The first element is to understand who are your stakeholders. Who are the people who are going to be operating this process? Are they employees who are already in the organization and are already running this process today and perhaps think, why do we need to make a change? Come back there. So, but very important that you're able to identify your stakeholders who will be involved in implementing the streamlined process or the improved process. Then the second element, and I think this is really important for adults, which is who you work with, is that you communicate the need for change, or the need of why do we need to change? Why do we need to change? And then what are we changing? I feel like I always think that when people understand the why, then it also becomes very easy to do the what. Very easy to do the what, because now they understand this is why we need to make this shift. Then the next step will be to train operators in the new process, start using it, track progress. Remember that whole thing about data? You have to be able to track that you're moving the direction that you want to move, and then track stickiness. Stickiness is really around, okay, we've implemented this new process. Are people actually using it? Are people falling back to old habits? And that can happen a lot. And so it could be very interesting to hear also from you that have streamlined processes, what you have done and what has been successful. But I think very important that you know who you're dealing with and who needs to be involved, your stakeholders. And then as you go, communicate why the change is needed. Train where training is needed. If it's a new process, if it's something that you're asking people to do that's different from what they've done in the past, start using the new process or the streamlined process, track the progress that you're making, and then track stickiness. And stickiness is really around making sure that we are using what was the new defined process as opposed to falling back to old ways, which will move us on to the next thing. Just moving on. Is when you think about processes to streamline or to implement, all of you already have this process. So these are just some examples, and which are things you're already doing in your business. It's just at the bottom of it or at the top of it, or holding all of this, is that when you are improving or streamlining processes, you're managing or creating a stakeholder experience. So you're making it easier for suppliers to deal with you. You're making it easier for the bank to deal with you. You're making it easier for your shareholders and directors to be happy with what's going on within the organization. So anything that you're doing within the organization that you're streamlining or improving, what you're trying to improve is the experience. So it could be a customer experience, and it could be the experience of any other stakeholder. So that's when you talk about processes that you can streamline, it covers this broad spectrum of processes. And so we'll just move on to the next slide, which is we're coming up to the tail end of this, which is really around when you are streamlining processes and there's so many things that are already happening in your business, and there's probably already processes that are documented that you think are already working to the best that they can. That is perfectly okay. And then there's that's one hand. On the other hand, there's some of us who have things in our businesses where there's a lot of pain, right? Either customers are complaining, or we're not like Sophia, where we already have we already know exactly what records to keep so that we're KRA compliant. So there are some of us who have a lot of pain where some of the things in our businesses are concerned. So whenever you think about where do I start to streamline, you do so many things already as the owner of the business. So the thing is to identify where is there most pain, number one. So this would be with employees, or with customers, with other stakeholders, with suppliers, where is there the most pain? And then where is there the most to gain? So look at it's really the same thing, but it's like, okay, fine. Here, this thing is causing us so much trouble. It's either causing us penalties, or it's causing us fines, or it's making us constantly, we are always apologizing to customers. That's pain. And then on this other hand is there, where do we have the most to gain? Do we gain the most by amplifying sales? How do we amplify sales? Do we increase sales by entering into a new market? What are the things that do we need? Do we increase contact or acceptance or just consideration by customers by amplifying our digital presence? What do we need to do? Where do we have the most pain, and what do we have the most to gain? Where do we have the most to gain? So I'd like us to maybe think about this, and go ahead and type this in the chat. When you think about your business, if you have already very streamlined business and things are working very well, then it's thinking, okay, where can we get some gain? But if you have some challenges and there are some things which could work better, just for each one of us, let's just type in the chat and say, for my business, this is where I need to make the most improvement. So this is where I could start, because I think it's very important that we could boil the ocean, which is try and do everything at the same time. That's hardly practical. The question is, where can you start? And so maybe we can tap that in the chat for a few minutes. Think about your business. Ansi Jaber says time management. Okay, is that time management for you or for your team as well? Just think about that. Just go a little bit deeper into that. Catherine talks about sales and marketing, most pain. And so for sourcing of raw materials for Mary, my sales team, for our war, marketing, quality management, accounting, and being able to incorporate our accounting into our sales system. So around the KRA penalties, what is causing you penalties? So that's the process you need to think about. Like, how are we making mistakes? Are we filing late? We have a filing deadline coming up in about 24 hours. Is that what's causing pain? KRA penalties for PAMFIL as well, debtors. Okay, that's a tricky one. And for you, Anthony, Jerry, what you want to think about is why are my customers not paying me? And perhaps think around the terms that you offer them and how you offer those terms. So I'm not trying to answer all the questions now, but I just want us to figure out, when we're thinking about streamlining, this is where we must start, where there is most pain and where there is perhaps the most to gain as well. So others have talked about cash flow management, competent sales service providers. So for you, Zachary, who is your peer in your industry? What are they doing? Can you make them your friend and find out where they're getting, who are their service providers? That sort of thing. Low sales, think about how do we think about the product that you're selling and how can you amplify that. I'm just picking up from the chat and trying to walk through some of the processes. So the thing is with this is there's lots of places to start. I mean, for each one of us, there's somewhere to start. When you think about streamlining and think about streamlining processes, then the steps are this. I want to increase my sales, or I want to reduce my KRA penalties. I must then think through what is the process that is resulting in those penalties. And that's the process I must tackle. That's the process I must fix. So I must fix it from the point of view of timelines. I must fix it from the point of view of who's doing it. Do they have the skills to do it? Do they have the competency to do it? I must look at it from the beginning to the end. So identify the process. If we go back to a number of slides that we talked about, you don't have to do that. We're not going to move slides. But if you must think about then, what is the process that is resulting in this outcome? Map that process, understand where the pains are coming from. When you fix those pains, or when you fix those issues, you will actually fix that process, and you will start to see your KRA penalties start to drop. You'll start to see other things starting to adjust as well. When you think about your sales, what kind of support do you need to be able to increase and amplify your sales? And so that's really the thinking around this, that once you identify where the pain is, then you're able to take that, look at the process that is resulting in that outcome, fix that process, and then by fixing that process or streamlining it, then you start to see the improvements that you want. And so I think I've said many things, and we are really at the tail end of our conversation. So I'll just pass it back to Helen for the Q&A.
Really, really insightful, Rosalind. I think the presentation was quite simple and clear. Really appreciate what the insights that you shared here. And I hope we've gained a thing or two. I can see a lot of claps for you there. Please receive your claps, Rosalind, and flowers. You've done a good job. You've done the topic. You have given the topic the deserved justice. You've delivered it. And I really like the way you've ended it on where to start. That was actually also my pick. Where to start. That is, you identify your pain points. Where is it hurting your business most? That is where now you start streamlining from. And also, what is it in you to gain? Is it productivity? Is it efficiency? Is it maintaining your human resource? I like that. Very well put, very relevant and direct. Thank you so much, Rosalind. So we are in another session of Q&A, and please, we have the Q&A tab because I see the chat. The chats are quite busy with the engagement and interactions. So if you have a question, for easy of identifying that question, please type in on the Q&A. And I think I already have some questions here, which we are going to engage the speaker with. The first question comes from Philip, and it says, thanks for this. For efficiency, we all need to ensure all our processes are streamlined. How do we leverage emerging technology like AI in business process streamlining? And what are the foreseen challenges along the way? So how can we leverage technologies such as AI, which has become very popular in this era that we are living in? And what are the foreseen challenges along the way? Rosalind can answer that.
That's a good question, Philip. I saw you typed it even before we started the presentation, so you are ready for it. I sat a few months ago. I sat with some guys from Microsoft, and they said they told me that the truth about life is that AI will not take jobs from humans. Your job will be taken from the person that's using the AI, and I think how I'd answer that question simply is to say that technology is for our benefit. And so part of what we discussed earlier is being able to start to see what can I digitize, what can I automate. For example, if I have a website, and already this is happening, right? All the chatbots are just that, right? And every day they are learning the peculiarities of me as a customer. And so it's just saying, how do I take that and use it in my business and come ahead, right? Because I know friends, for example, who make presentations like the one I have done, and they use it using AI. right? It probably takes them half the time to do it. And so it's just understanding that the technology is here to support me. How do I, number one, understand it and understand how I can use it? And then number two, then take complete advantage of it. Because I think a big part of, let me speak for myself, a big part of my challenge is not understanding what the technology can do for you. But once you understand that, so get somebody who can do that. And perhaps, Monica, that's another webinar that needs to happen, is then how do we take the technology that's available and leverage it for our business? I think that the thing is just to make sure that we are using it by understanding what it is and what it can do for our business. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. I hope, Philip, you've gotten the answer right there. I'm looking for questions. Quite a number of compliments for you, Rosalind, for the good delivery. Still continuing here, kindly share with us the recording after the meeting. For sure, we will do that.
Yeah.
We have your email addresses during the year as you registered, so we will be able to share this by tomorrow. We'll get the recording of the session for your future reference. Quite some still compliments ongoing. I'm looking for questions. Do you have any more questions for Rosalind? I think it was really clear and simple that we've all gotten something well done. The presentation was well done. All right. So it means we are good. There are no more questions. I was expecting very tough questions, but I think because of how your slides and also your explanation was simple, you know, when you hear processes, everyone that is a hard one.
Yeah.
But kudos to you. You made it very simple. I was also actually writing a lot of notes here. I know I'll also use them somewhere else, but well done, Rosalind. It means our audience has really understood. They know where to start. They know the success factors to look out for. Implementation success, that is mindset, behavior, and skills. You must have the can-do attitude. Your behavior is you must show up, and the skills that you need, identify the skills you need to acquire. So really well done. And the benefit of process documentation, you are able to lower customer efforts. Yeah, like someone said, the easiest thing that they were able to do is order Uber. Yeah, it is very a simple process. Why? Because they want to give their customers something that is easy to use. Yeah, increased efficiency. Yeah, that is the benefit of processes. That's why your customers will be stuck with you, because they know when they need something from you, it's very easy, it's not complex. No one wants complex things. Yeah, increased profitability. It means the stickiness for your business customers, and that will really be also reflected on the profitability. It will also help to your staff to be more effective, and also it will help retain those staff, because as we said, no one wants complex things. We want straightforward things and things that are also speaking to our customers. Thank you very much. And I know, Rosalind, there's something you have for our audience here, our customers, our stakeholders. There's some discount that you're offering under your company. Top tier. Maybe you can, this is the moment to just mention it before I can give our closing remarks. Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you very much, Helen. And so I like what you said about clear and simple, because that's really our intention. Our goal is just to demystify process and make it as simple and clear as possible for audiences. So what we're doing, and somebody has asked about this, I think it's Bernard, is we are offering every Thursday at 9 o'clock for until the Thursday before. So the next 3 Thursdays at 9 o'clock, we're offering, it's completely complimentary, 45 minutes of group coaching for anybody that signs up, that's here today and signs up today. And after the recording, shared. So I think I'll allow Absa to determine the timeline, which is probably end of day tomorrow. So a group coaching that allows you to just talk through where to start. The reason we're having it in a group is because I find that there's a lot of peer-to-peer learning that works really well, because then you're able to see so and so has done this in their business. And so a group coaching session for 45 minutes just to talk through how do I streamline my processes, and who you'll be talking to is you'll be talking to a process coach, and they'll be listening through to what your issues are and supporting you on where to start. So I think even as we start to prepare for 2025 and more streamlined processes and adjusting in an environment that is rapidly changing, we need to be ready with processes that are streamlined and ready for the environment that we are currently in. So some changes are needed, and so we'll support you to start and figure out where you need. For the people who are saying I have penalties, I have all sorts of things, I think it's a good opportunity to take that. We may not be able to answer those questions in that session, but the purpose of that session is just to show you this is the next logical steps that you can follow. So Thursdays at 9, I'll just allow Monica, if that's okay, that the signups are done directly through the club. Yeah.
That's fine. If you're interested, our email address is still up there, businessclub.ke@absa.africa. Please write to us that you want to be part of the session that Rosalind will be providing as a group. Rosalind, I think I have 2 questions that has popped up, and I will still have time to answer. I read it. This one is from Leila, and she's saying, I would like to know what are some processes I can implement in my business. I buy furniture for my client, then they pay after completion of the projects. I had a client refuse to pay well after the return period. I was now left with the seats because I could not return to the supplier. How would I avoid that happening again, considering my work as an interior designer is to deliver a completed project? That's from Leila.
Okay. So Leila, wow, okay. I see, my mind's running through several things. And by the way, if anyone has an answer, feel free to type in the chat as well. So what I think is would be interesting to do in your instance is to understand, number one, why did your customer refuse to pay for them? I think that's important to know. Were they just being difficult? Did they not feel like the furniture was what they had signed up for? The understanding why they did not pay for them, I think, is critical. So just a little bit of customer feedback, and maybe if you're not, I mean, you may not be in talking terms right now, but for sure, just think through that. Like, why did they refuse to pay? And then the other thing is also around that, and something that Zachary has mentioned in the chat, that you must give timelines for payment. So if there's an expectation that somebody makes a deposit, do make that clear, 100% clear, that before I deliver, that I expect a deposit of a certain amount. And then one thing I found very useful, and it's very important that you follow up as well, is that rather than giving customers dates because of the kind of work that I do, I can do that. Rather than saying you will pay within a month, actually say that your payment is due on the 17th of November. Then that way they know that, and then on the 17th of November, I make sure that prior to that I have already provided an invoice, so that they actually pay me. So maybe a little more tightening around your payment structure so that you make it easier to collect. Yeah. And then I think Samira has also said in there that you should have documented the contract and take some deposit prior to delivering the items. Okay. And then, good. Does that answer your question, Leila? I hope. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and then you have some comments in there. So there's a little bit about they didn't get what they were expecting. So maybe a little bit also around, maybe adding to what Samira has said, something around getting getting a sign off from the customer. If you make a sample, for example, in your business, make a sample, then you have to get them to sign off the sample. Yeah, so just some things to protect yourself that make it kind of difficult. If they said, this is not really what I wanted, then you have something to fall back on, in a sense. Of course, you don't want to be in the business of you must take the seats. But if you had taken some money up front and they kind of signed off, then there's some obligation to pay. But yeah. So there's also some really nice comments on the chat. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I like the advice that we're also getting. Service level agreements must be signed prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
There's couple more questions.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
From the same person.
No, we have.
Can I take the question from Silfano first?
Yes. What kind of questions guide the strategy making process? From Silfano.
Okay, good. So that question, thank you. Thanks a lot. That question is perfect for Wild and our partner, Monica, to answer. And so Wild is actually in the business of strategy consulting for owners like yourself, business owners like yourself. So the kind of questions that you can answer around that, it would be terrible for me to try and guide you on this short session. So I think that my answer for that one, short answer, is speak with Wild. Yeah, and Absa can connect you to Wild. Okay, so there's just one more question. We did say that we'll stop at 10:30, so if you need to leave, feel free to do that, but we will answer Brenda's question now.
For a new startup, how does one ensure she gets the process streamlined accurately?
Yeah. Okay, good.
For a new startup.
So for a new startup, okay, good. So Brenda, for your business is making and selling curtains. I think when a lot of, and this is going to sound very odd, but just make sure that a little bit of what your business is discovery. So today you've probably sold curtains to Rosalind and you've sold curtains to Helen, and then Helen's auntie has said she wants curtains, and then that's how your business is growing. So just walk through, think through the transactions that you have done up to this point. Think about the ones that worked really well and how you ran those particular deals or sales. That becomes where you start. So they could be the ones where Rosalind ordered curtains or somebody ordered curtains and they paid you after a long time. But then there's also someone who paid you up front. So just think through how you can work around a process based on, should I say, your best experience so far, while taking into account that there might be some.
Rosalind, I think you've frozen out. Could be a network issue. But another question from you, Brenda, is what are the requirements
pass it
for
back
one
to Helen
join?
to answer that. Yeah.
Yes. What are the requirements for one to join the business club? We will be reaching out to you, Brenda, on email so that we can give you the requirement. The requirement is just a sign-up form that you sign to register and become a member of business club. We shall be reaching out to you after this session. And I think we finish up with the Q&A. I don't see any other questions, Rosalind, for you. At this point, I would like, we close the session, and we have a survey, a poll coming up. As I do the closing remarks, give us your feedback. As we said, we also thrive with getting feedback for you so that we are able to curate and bring in speakers that are really relevant to you. We don't like just making up things and bringing them to you. We want to hear from you. So please take a moment of your time before you end the session and give us your feedback and your thoughts, and we'll be able to support you further. So allow me to thank you, all of you, for finding time to join us today and keeping time and also staying with throughout the session. We were about 170 of us today, and the session was quite interactive, engaging, and I believe that we have taken home something that you are going to change or to introduce your business in your business, so that you can really aim for success and to elevate your business further. Thank you to our speaker today, Rosalind. Well done. We look forward into engaging with you in the near future with our audience. Also giving my thanks to our head of SME who has made this session possible, Mr. Erastus Mudura. Thank you, sir. Thanking our partners at World for supporting us throughout the year with the webinars that we've been doing. And we have one more webinar coming up next end of this month, where we'll be targeting our Lariba customers. And our Lariba customers, it means our Muslim community and anyone who is in the Muslim banking. So look out for that, as we'll be sharing more details on that. Otherwise, we wish you all the best as you prepare your businesses to take a break for the holidays. It's been a really exciting year being with you every single month for these webinars. And I'm hoping that we will see these changes, we will see this growth and profitabilities of your businesses as our customers, because essentially that is the reason why we bring you these capacity building programs every single month, so that you are able to be more enlightened, you are able to build your capacity building and leadership skills as founders and as directors of businesses that we serve at APSA. So from me and the team of my technical team here, we say thank you very much and have yourselves a very, very productive day ahead. Thank you very much.
Our stories begin right here, and we never write them alone. Sometimes we write them with someone who puts our story first. Other times with someone who puts their own story first. There'll be pages we love to read again and again, and some we'll barely remember. Sometimes we feel like the hero of our story, and other times, not. There are stories of dreamers, stories of creators, stories of strivers, stories of believers, and we're inspired by them all. That's why we invite you to write your story with us. Your story matters.